Hi everybody, welcome to SSBtales, and in this particular video we are going to look at what is the 5-day procedure in SSB it looks like, what are the different tests that are conducted and all about it, right? So let's get started. Starting off, like, what is SSB? Let's first understand the basics of it, right? Whenever you give any government examination, especially, first you have to give a written examination, right? And once you clear the written examination, in most of the cases there are interview phase also that are done, right? There's a interview phase also. So first you give examination, then you give an interview, and finally a final merit list is made, and the people who have end up into the final merit list, they then join the organization, right? Similar thing happens for the defense services, where first you have to give a written examination. We have different examination, we have CDS, we have NDA, we have FCAT. I've already made a detailed video on how you can join the different forces through different entries. Okay, so there's a different playlist on how you can join. So there's a playlist named how to join the defense services. There you can find each and everything, that for what particular arm of the military, for what examinations are conducted, or how you can enter them. Okay, so once you clear these examinations, next is the second stage, that is your SSB. Now there are some entries where you can directly give SSBs before giving any, without giving any written examination. Again, I would recommend you to check that particular playlist for clear understanding. Okay, so but what happens, instead of having that just 15 minutes of one day interview, here you have 5 day of different tests that are conducted, which on that basis you are either recommended by the board for joining the defense services, or you are not recommended, right? And if you are recommended, then final merit list is made. Okay, so only the people who have been recommended, they will be mentioned in the final merit list. A final merit list will be made based on the marks that you have obtained in your written examination, plus the marks that you have obtained in your SSBs, and then on adding that, whoever will be the rankers, they would join the academy. Okay, so SSB has a full form, it is Service Selection Board. So in layman language, in simple terms, you have to understand, so this is a kind of a group that has been formed, a board that has been formed, who would assess you based on different tests that are there, and on that basis they are going to make a particular result, that currently at current state that you are in, physically, mentally, are you eligible for the academy or not? Okay, are you eligible for the defense services or not? Okay, so recommendation milta hai SSB mein, and after that final merit list is made. Now let's understand what is this 5-day procedure and what happens in that, right? So the phases of SSB can be divided into two. The first one being your testing phase or the screening phase. Okay, phase 1 testing hoti hai, it is also known as the screening. Okay, and once that is done, then happens your stage 2 testing. So we have stage 1 testing and stage 2 testing. Stage 1 testing is also known as a screening process. So what happens, see, you have 5 days, right? The first day when you will go, stage 1 testing will happen. Okay, anybody who get through this stage 1 testing, they only will stay and further give the testing for the rest of the days. Okay, and if you could not clear stage 1 testing, then you would go back to your home on the first day itself, right? So the term that we use is screen in and screen out. So anybody who has passed stage 1 testing, they are called to be screened in. Okay, and whoever got out on the first day itself, we call them screen out. Okay, so once you are screened in, then what happens? Okay, then there are 3 tests that happens. Okay, first we will abhi kya karte hain, first stage 1 ko samajhte hain properly, and once we understand stage 1 testing, then we will move towards the stage 2 testing. Okay, so stage 1 testing mein kya hota hai, there are 2 tests that are conducted. The first one being the OIR examination or test, and its full form is Officers Intelligence Rating. Okay, so what happens in this OIR test, here you are being provided with 2 booklets, and there varies the number of questions. In some it can be 50, in some it can be 35. Okay, so it is somewhere approx, like you can say around 40 to 50 on an average questions are there in each booklet. So you are being provided with 2 booklets with verbal and non-verbal reasoning, and the questions are like very basics. It is not that much of high quantitative quantitative aptitude that is asked. The basic verbal non-verbal questions are there just to understand your aptitude, just to rate your aptitude, right? So what happens, you have been given two booklets, you have to do some questions. The trick is here, so the questions are not that much difficult, but there is time management that you would have to do. So for example, you get a booklet where only 35 to 40 questions are there, so you will be just given 17 minutes to attempt all the question. One thing is good, that there is no negative marking, so you can attempt as much as you like, because ultimately a ranking will be formed out of it. Okay, and if you're given, like for example, 50 questions booklet, you will be given somewhere around 22 minutes to attempt all the questions. Okay, once that is done, you fill the sum. In some SSBs, OMR sheets are being filled, and in some cases they will provide you a sheet and you would just have to write like A, B, C, whatever be the option, you would just have to manually write it down. Okay, then again it depends from SSBs to SSBs. Okay, once OIR is being conducted, it's completed, then you move towards the second test, and on the back end your copies are checked, your OMR sheets are checked. Okay, then you are being given a rating. OIR 1 and 2 are said to be the best ratings, means where you are on the safest side. However, if your OIR rating it comes to be 3 or 4, in that cases you can be a doubtful matter, and your performance on the second test it would be critically analyzed to see that if you should pass stage 1 testing or not. Okay, so and one more thing I want to add, if there is any query to anybody, see, this OIR 1 ranking can be attained by n number of people. For example, if 10 students they got full marks, okay, so all will be provided with OIR 1 ranking. Okay, if 9 students have come up with like same marks, they would be given the same ranking. So there is no issue that only one person will get the 1 ranking and only one person will get the second ranking. Okay, so that is your first test, that is the OIR test. After that happens your second test, which is known as your PP and DT in short form. Its full form is picture perception, means you have to perceive a particular picture, a story, and discussion test, then you have to discuss about it also. So what happens, then you are being taken to a hall, okay, and with the help of a projector a picture is shown to you, and in almost like 99% of the SSBs, the picture that is shown to you is very blur, very hazy, like you cannot actually very with confidence say what the particular picture is all about. Okay, while I myself have experienced once in Bhopal where clear picture was shown, one time in AFSB, I think Dehradun, where clear picture was shown, right? But that rarely happens. Usually very hazy picture is shown to you. Okay, now the aim of this particular test is to look at that if you are able to identify what's in the picture or not, and that can differ, right? The aim of in this particular PP, picture perception, just the aim is that are you able to identify if there are 4 people or not. Now you can make any story. Many people, for example, from 4 people they make trekking story, 4 people they make dance story, 4 people they can make any story. So that is not the issue, that what you are perceiving, but the aim is that are you able to identify who are present in that particular picture or not. For example, if it's a small kid and you are making them an old lady or a married woman, now that is the that you are not perceiving properly, right? So the aim of this is not how good story you are making, it's more about what you are perceiving and if you're correctly identifying what's there in the picture or not. Okay, now that is a PP, and then with DT, then what happens, your discussion test. So once you have written you're being shown that picture for 30 seconds, and after that I'm sorry, you get 4 minutes 30 seconds to jot down a story and form a story on it. Okay, once that is done, then you are being moved out to another hall where the discussion will be conducted. अब क्या होता है, for example, if 30 students for example overall 50 students have come, okay, so 5 groups can be made of 10 people each, 10 candidates of each, right? And they will be part of a certain group, of one group they will be there. Okay, now what happens in discussion test, first what will happen, one by one you are going to narrate your individual story. Okay, and once that is done, as soon as the last person will narrate his story, then immediately the discussion start. Now what is the aim of the discussion? Definitely the aim is to come to a common group story. Now all would want their story be to the common story, right? So there is a proper discussion happens. So then your conduct is being assessed by the assessors, right? That how you are behaving in a group, are people listening to you, how you are putting forward your points, are you being dominated, are you discarding people's opinion, how you are doing so, right? All these things are assessed. And finally the phase 1 results are announced, the screening results are announced on the basis of OIR and your PPDT performance, and then people are either screened in or screened out. Okay, now if you are screened in, then you are eligible for phase 2 testing. ठीक है, अब देखो क्या होता है in usually the commonly how things goes, and then what is the differences I will tell you. Okay, so what happens, phase 1 happens, your screening process आपकी होती है day 1 में, then on day 2 you have your psychology test. ठीक है, the psychology test it happens on day 2, then there are some group performance that happen, group task होते हैं that happens in your day 3 and day 4, group task होते हैं, and then finally on the 5th day in you have your conference. Okay, conference happens your 5th day and result is also being announced in this particular day. ठीक है, अब interview they start from 2nd day onwards only. Okay, so because in day 2 you just have psychology test that is done by early in 9 or 10 in the morning, it's just like it's finished, or like even first half, even you have to say psychology test happens just in first half, then you are free after that, right? So interview they starts from your day 1 only, days it can start in SSB from day 2 only, and they can run till day 4 also, right? Because every day 2 to 3 candidates they are being interviewed, so it can stretch up to 4th day. And in certain scenarios it has been observed that even on 5th day before conference some interviews they happen, although this on 5th day rarely they do happen, but still some candidates might have their interview scheduled on 5th day before the conference. ठीक है, अब the catch is that in your AFSB is your Air Force Selection Board. So when you go through FCAT, you don't go for SSB, you go for AFSB. Again, I have made a separate playlist, right? How to join different services. So there you would have more clarity what I'm talking about. But in AFSB, your psychology test happens in the same day only. So in your first half of the day, screening happens, and then in the evening or early night, your psychology test happens, right? तो आपका in your AFSB psychology test happens in your first day only, it is not scheduled for the second day. ठीक है, तो आपके 3 टेस्ट होते हैं. Now in detail let's understand what are these tests all about and what tests are conducted under these, right? So psychology test, as the name suggests, it is to analyze your psychology, what you think. See, as an officer you have to take care what you think, what you say, and about your actions also, right? So that is why these tests are designed as so. Psychology test for what you think, your actions, for that we have group task, and what you say, how you convey your words, how you're going to be conveying your words in future, that is being assessed in the interview. ठीक है, so psychology test में you have 4 tests. The first one being TAT, thematic apperception test, right? So it is somewhat similar to what we have understood in PPDT, where you are being shown a picture and you have to perceive any scenario and then you have to jot it down, right? TAT in on that basis is same, that you will be shown a picture. However, here you will be shown a clear picture. It will not be hazy. It will be a clear picture for 30 seconds, and then after that you will be given 4 minutes 30 seconds to write down the story on it, right? Now through TAT your psychology is being analyzed. In case of PPDT it was more about you identifying that what is happening, but here it is more about understanding psychology behind whatever story that you have written, right? So what happens, you are being overall 12 slides are there which are projected on the screen. In 11 slides there will be some picture, while the 12th slide it is blank. So it's being said on 12th slide you can write whatever you want to write. So many people they write any adventurous story, adventurous life experience. Some people, if they have taken some responsibility in the past, they frame story around it. Some write on their achievement, like whatever you feel like, your happiest memory or anything where you have done something good, you can mention in your 12th story. ठीक है, so that is your TAT first test. Once that is done, your booklets are taken, right? So you do not get any breaks as such between the different tests. Okay, the only break that you will get will be the time that will be taken by the assessors and the coordinators to take back one booklet and provide you with the new one and briefing the instructions. So one TAT is done, then happens your WAT, word association test. So in this what happens, 60 words are flashed on the screen every 15 seconds. So for example, one word will be flashed for 15 seconds, and in this 15 second only you have to read and jot down a sentence in the booklet that is provided to you. Okay, then again after 15 seconds another word will be projected, then you would have to type, and so on till 60 words are completed. Again, that is to look at your psychology. WAT test hota hai, theek hai. Once that test is done, then happens your SRT, situation reaction test, where then again new booklet is given to you. So there is a question booklet and then you have an answer booklet. In your question booklet there will be 60 situations that will be provided to you. It can be like, I will give you a simple example. For example, the first situation is that you were going for your examination, but all the public transportations are on strike. You will, and then there will be a dash. So basically you are given 60 situations and then your reaction is expected. You have to jot down that what will you do in that particular situation. You are given 30 minutes for it. The aim is to have as spontaneous reaction as possible, because you can understand in military you would have to be very spontaneous when it comes to, you know, the if contingency happens or any such situation happens, right? So that is why, to understand your immediate response, the time is kept very short, only 30 minutes, and definitely you would want to do as many questions as possible, right? So that is why your real responses will come out, and that will help the assessors to assess it. And ultimately we have one SD, that is self description, where you are given 15 minutes to write about yourself on different heads. One head will be what your parents think about yourself. Okay, so there you have to provide a paragraph. Okay, then afterwards what your friends think of yourself, and if you are a working aspirant, means you are doing a job, in that case your colleague opinion will be asked to you, so you would have to write about it. Third will be what your teachers think about yourself, and if you are a working aspirant and you have been doing a job for a long time, so definitely teachers can't give you opinion on your current self, right? On your current personality. So then your boss or your manager opinion is asked to you, and ultimately what do you think of yourself and what improvement do you want to have in yourself. So these four heads are given to you on, and in 15 minutes you have to fill that. So usually people, they come preparing this SD from home, so at that time they don't have to think, they just keep on writing it down. ठीक है? So psychology test में ये चार आपके टेस्ट होते हैं. Once that is done, then you are done for the day, and then happens from your next day onwards group task. Now group task has a lot of events. I will make for certain so for certain tasks I will make a separate video for a reason, because otherwise this video will become too long and it will become too boring. I will mention whatever be the different things different videos I have made, although you can check the playlist, this particular playlist you will find them. Okay, but let's just start with the group tasks. The first happen is a group discussion. So on two topics you have to do group discussion. Now here you don't have to come with any conclusion. The aim is just to discuss the topic that has been given to you. Now what will happen with each topic, you are given 3 reasons on that why that particular topic is there. Okay, means for example, if there is, for example, on lack of infrastructure in the country, so that is the topic, then you will be given 3 reasons that politicians are not thinking of it, right? The people, they are not aware of their rights, like anything, any 3 reasons they will provide you. Then what will happen, group discussions, so definitely some people will agree to some point, some reason, some people will agree to some reason. So how the discussion is conducted, that is to analyze and assess. That is what group discussion happens. 2 topics are asked, and for both the topics reasons are being provided to you. Okay, 3 reasons, and then you would, like, whatever you feel like, you would favor that one. After that we have group planning exercise. In this, what happens in group planning exercise, you are, first of all, you are shown a map of a certain area, and then you are given a certain situation. For example, देखो 15 students who came for the SSB, and 20 got screened out and 30 they got screened in. अब क्या करेंगे, इसमें ना 3 ग्रुप बना देंगे of 10 candidates each. Okay, so your group is like group of 10 people. Okay, so you will be given a situation, for example, that you are a group of 10 people, you visited this area, but then some mishap happened. For example, an accident of a car has happened, and then somebody has been kidnapped. Okay, so this 3-4 situations are given to you, and then you have to first jot down the solution, that how are you going to, you have to plan an exercise, that how are you going to focus on all the mishaps that have done, and how are you going to come out of it, right? And then afterwards a group discussion happens. Now here you have to come to a common conclusion. In GD there was no thing of having a common consensus, but here in GP it is. You have to convince other people that why your plan is good, but definitely you would have to do in a proper manner, you cannot dominate the group, right? So discussion happens, and ultimately a common story is then being shared with the GTO, the group task officer, okay, that this is what how we are going to execute our plan. So that is the group planning exercise. That is done, then you go to the ground, and then you have some group tasks in the ground. So first one is your progressive group task. So what happens, see, in the military you would have to work in difficult terrains, okay, but that cannot be assessed in SSBs, right? There will be the reasons of, there will be causes of injuries, the terrain is not everywhere as such, right? So to imitate that, there are obstacles that have been formed, as you can see in the picture that I have added, okay? So there are different similar to this obstacles that are there, and then you are given with some helping material. For example, you're given with a rope, you're given with a plank, which can help to bridge these gaps, and then you can move from one place to another, okay? So in progressive group tasks, if your group is of 10 people, all will form and frame an idea. So 4 obstacles you would have to cross one by one, okay? And then it will be the end of your progressive group task. Now what will happen in progressive group task, maybe all 10 people, means like many people were having idea, but they did not get time, they could not get the opportunity to implement it, because there were a lot of people and all with their ideas, right? So that is why, to give a fair opportunity, after PGD HGT is conducted, okay? Half group task. In half group task, the group of 10 people, it is broken down into 5 each, and then and then this group individually will, again the structures will be same only, but here the chess number would have more opportunity to implement their ideas and to share their viewpoints, right? So then happens your HGT, where the group is broken into half. So HGT आपका होता है. After HGT is done, then happens your individual obstacle task, ठीक है? Individual obstacle task में I have made a separate video letting you know that what are the obstacles that are there that you have to clear. So basically there are 10 obstacles that you would have to go through in 3 minutes time period. You have to run and you have to cross those obstacles to get some points, okay? And if you have already finished all the 10 obstacles within 3 minutes, you can even then repeat the obstacles as well, okay? So for that we have made a separate video showing you what are the obstacles that are there in the same playlist that you're looking currently. Okay, so individual obstacle task. After that we have what? After that we have command task. Ab kya hua? In PGT there were 10 people involved. In HGT there were, for example, in this scenario 5 people were involved. Now in command task it is only you who are going to implement your plan, who are going to come up with the idea. So you will be the commander, and you will given you will be asked to take any two subordinate for you from the group, that they will help you to place the material, okay? But you are the one who are actually going to implement the idea. So it's your opportunity. That is the command task, okay? Then what happens, there is also one fun race, that is snake race, okay? So snake race में क्या होता है, you're being given with one ये आपकी ग्रुप रेस होती है, ठीक है? तो इसमें क्या होता है, यू हैव बीन गिवन विद वन रोप दैट इज वेरी थिक एंड इट लुक्स लाइक अ स्नेक, एंड दैट इज वाई द नेम स्नेक रेस, ठीक है? तो स्नेक, उसको क्या करना है, ऑल द पीपल दे हैव टू टच दैट, एटलीस्ट 3 people शुड टच द rope at once, and with that you have to cross various obstacles and you have to reach to the final destination. Now I told you, right, if 3 people got screened in, there will be 3 groups of 10 people each. So this race is between the groups, so it's not you're fighting among themselves or you are competing among themselves. You are as a team competing with the other teams, right? So it's a fun race. It can be fun for some people, it can be very hectic for some people, right? But it's the fun part of the group task. And then there's an individual lecturate. We are running one series on lecturate topics, where whatever the recently asked lecturate topics in various SSBs are there, we cover them in a holistic manner so that you understand what is all about and you can speak continuously in 3 minutes on it, right? So in individual lecturate you have given 3 minutes, and a topic is, you are given 4 topics. First you will get 3 minutes to it's an impromptu situation, right? So for 3 minutes you will be thinking what to say, and then for the immediately after 3 minutes, for next 3 minutes you have to deliver the content, okay? Then is the final group task. See, this group task, it initiated with a group, right? But then you got divided into half, then you individually performed, right? So to bring the group back together, there happens a last task again with the similar obstacle structures only, but it's a final group task where all then again will come together and they will come up with a solution for the group to move from one part to the one side to the another side. So this is the group task. And finally happens your interview. It can happen on different days, right? An interview, for that there is a see एक पहले ना आपका पर्सनल क्वेश्चन आयर आपका भराया जाता है, उसको PIQ फॉर्म बोलते हैं, ठीक है. एंड इन दिस PIQ फॉर्म whatever be the things that you are mentioning, like from where you have born and brought up, from where you have done your schooling, and about your family's income, about your siblings, all the details about your parents education, about your education, how much academic qualification you have, whatever the achievements, if you have any extracurricular activities you have done, if any additional responsibility that you have taken in your school, colleges. If not, that is also fine, right? So you need not to worry that I have not done anything, what will be the case, right? That's a different scenario, right? That's a different topic to discuss. But I just want to say that you need not to freak out if you did not had any opportunities in your life. So you don't have to worry that you could not have any national medal, right? Sometimes it's all about having the opportunity, right? So please don't freak out if you did not had the opportunity, so you don't have additional things in your hand to compete with other. It is not like that, right? So everything is proper assess that what opportunities did you get and how you utilize that. ठीक है, तो interview होता है, it can be of 20 minutes also, it can be as long as 1 hour also, but then an assessment is done. So interview आपका interviewing officer लेते हैं. Ultimately on 5th day happens your conference, where now all the assessors who were individually assessing you all would sit together, okay, on one side, and then in the opposite side there will be a chair for you, and there you will sit, and even the president of the board will be there, okay. Now if there can be the two cases, either you are clear cut recommended or you are clear cut non recommended, and we call them conference out, okay. So we call it screen in, screen out, recommended, conference out, right? You can use non recommended, not recommended word also, but usually in common language we call it conference out, okay. So if you are clear cut recommended or clear cut conference out, usually in that cases your conference will be as short as 30 seconds, where they will ask you about your experience, about your stay, about your ranking, that how would you rank your performance and everything, right? But if you're a borderline case, right, borderline case में क्या मतलब हो सकता है? For example, two assessors are in your favor, but one assessor is doubtful about it, right? So in such cases what will be done, you will be given some real life situation. Now you can be given situation reaction test, or you can be given any interview questions may be thrown to you, right? So such questions are asked to you to check that you should be recommended or not, okay. So only in the borderline cases you would have questions in your conference, otherwise you would not have if you have clear cut conference recommendation or non recommendation, okay. Then there will be some questions thrown to you, and based on how you respond, then you will get either recommended or you will not be recommended, and that will be the end of the SSB, okay. So that was all about the SSB to the best of my knowledge, and that happens actually also. So there are other playlists in the there are other videos in the playlist also that I would recommend you to please check. And I hope now all you have clarity about SSB, or to the maximum extent. All the very best for your SSB, and thank you.